welcome to another video. My name is Em, and today I'm going to be showing you how I draw bugs. I've never drawn bugs before, so I'm really looking forward to this, mostly because I really like drawing shiny things, and you know I picked some shiny little bugs to draw. I'll put them on the screen so you can see them and draw along with me. That would be just lovely, okay? Mostly beetles we're working with. And I didn't particularly follow exactly the references, but some of them I followed closely. Okay, if I felt like I could follow it closely, I did. If I didn't, I didn't. That's what happened. And I started out with this little round beetle because I thought it would be really easy, and it was. It was definitely a really good one to start with. I just didn't really know how to approach these. I knew I wanted to try. Basically, the reason why I did these bright colored bugs and picked bugs as a subject is because I want to use darker colors. You know, I like to draw a lot of like rainbowy, lots of colors in my drawings and things like that, but I don't usually use darker colors. And I thought beetles would be a great way to sort of introduce that and get used to doing that, because I do really, really want to use the dark colors, but I feel that I'm a little bit apprehensive to use them, let's say. So this little bug has a lot of different colors on it. There's like red all the way to green. There's a little bit of blue I wanted to put in there. And it did take some getting used to, but once I did it, see right here, I just erased a spot because I was not getting like the lightness or the saturation that I wanted out of that spot. So I was like, okay, say less. The eraser is going to be my best friend throughout this process, which is like the best thing about color pencils, is that you can just erase a little bit if here and there if you need to. Like if you made a little mistake of putting the wrong tone somewhere, that's not a problem. So anyways, I was getting very challenged by mixing this red to green situation, and I feel like it worked out so well. I love it. I love this little bug so much. It really gave me a lot of confidence to keep going as well, because the first one of the page, we never know if that's even going to make it to a video, to be honest. We don't know if that's just going to be a practice or if it's going to if it's going to like come into something bigger. And I was like, okay, I'll try this, and if it goes well, then I'm going to keep going, and I did. Yay. And then once I started to figure out how this kind of worked, with the really bright colors and the darker colors, I started to feel very excited about doing this, and I got a little bit ambitious. And with the Holbein color pencil specifically, I find it super easy to just go on top, and like the only way I can really explain it is kind of like glazing a lighter color over top of the darker colors. It still works. You're not going to get the purest form of that light color. It's not going to go on like paint, but it does go on top and it does lighten up. So that works out great, especially for me who has a hard time making decisions and sometimes makes a lot of mistakes. Okay. But basically, the trick I found with using a lot of darker colors is just going in slowly and with a very light hand. I kind of always say that when it comes to color pencils, just really, really lightly put on a bunch of layers and work with those layers and let them make the darker color as you go slowly. I can't stress enough that it's got to be not physically slowly, but like light, and then just keep layering it up. And then eventually you're going to get a nice dark color out of it. And it's going to be so much richer because it's made out of a bunch of different colors rather than just one, you know? I guess what I'm saying is just to use a light hand and don't try to rush to get to the end. Just be patient and enjoy the process of layering all of the colors. Because it's really going to help you and actually take a lot faster, and you'll make less mistakes if you go slower. And trust me on that one, because I know that to be true. So with this, I'm calling this moth a curly-haired moth because that's just what I'm seeing and that's how I feel. Okay? So I started out with that lighter green color that you just saw, and that's how I sort of outlined where I knew that the shadows I wanted, kind of where the darker parts that I was seeing from the reference, that's how I put them in roughly. And then with a very light hand, I went in with this cold, dark green color, and I started and I just kept layering it like I said, and I sort of started to get a feel for where the shadows were or where the dark parts were and where I wanted to have some really nice high contrast shiny bits. And I knew that where I'm going to do my rainbow effect, or like how I do my style of doing that rainbow, I'm going to have to put it in where the light is reflecting off of the curly hair moth, and how like those ridges, that's where I'm going to be able to put some rainbow stuff and mess around with the different colors. And that mostly I'm just going to try to keep the darkness dark, but I do put some rainbow in there as well. Like I layered on top this color that's my favorite color called Raisin. It's like a dark kind of purpley reddish color. I layered that on top of where the dark green was, and I just put a little bit of blues in there and stuff like that as well. So just to try to give it like a lot of dimension and make it look cool, I guess. I'm trying my hardest to explain something that's like really like difficult to explain, I guess, but I hope it's like useful. And then I took the eraser and I kind of like erased a little bit of this wing because I wanted it to look more in the distance. And I really enjoy how that turned out, and sort of just kept it light on that side. And yeah, just kind of went back and forth looking at the reference, trying my hardest to not let my eyes get too focused on one part or another of this moth, because that can happen to me all the time. When there's something really complicated or there's a lot of stuff to look at in a reference photo, then it's really hard for me to make my eyes stop taking in all the details and trying to draw them all. I really just want to look at it as if it's a really big blurry image at first, figure out where the shadows are and where the light parts are, and then slowly go more detailed, you know? Crazy concept, I know. Anyways, just finishing up this moth. I absolutely love the first day of this. It was so fun. So after these first two bugs went so well, and before I started the next day's session, I needed to warm up again. And I decided to try something kind of different this time with a class called Drawing for Self-Care, Mindful Doodling, and Creative Color on today's sponsor, Skillshare. The class is taught by Marie Noelle Worm and is all about finding joy and lightness when you draw, as well as using your art as a form of self-care. This is something I really like the idea of, I really want to do, but I struggle with, so I thought I'd give the class a try. And I ended up loving it. I actually found Marie's class to be a very relaxing and calming way to start my day of art. Marie explains how to intuitively choose your tools and decide what colors you'd like to work with, depending on how you feel for that session. She teaches how to have fun and be mindful while doodling. It definitely left me feeling lighter and excited to start my work for the day, and I think I'll continue with this practice. Skillshare is the largest online learning community for creatives, with thousands of classes taught by industry experts. The classes range from beginner to advanced, so you can learn more at any stage in your journey. And with an on-demand platform and modular lessons, you can learn at your own pace. The categories include illustration, design, film, animation, photography, entrepreneurship, and more. Personally, I'm looking into some classes on editing videos, specifically one called DaVinci Resolve, the video editing workflow. I really want to get better at editing and color grading my videos, so I figure this one will be perfect for me as I'm such a beginner when it comes to things like DaVinci Resolve, and this class is appropriate for beginner level. Essentially, if I want to learn something I know nothing about, I usually check Skillshare for a class on it. The first 500 people to use my link in the description will receive a 1-month free trial of Skillshare. Get started today. Thank you, Skillshare, for sponsoring this video. So now it's the next day and I've warmed up again. I decided to do like this. I really liked the reference of this little, I'm going to call it a fly because I'm guessing that's what it is. Some kind of fly or moth, I don't know. But it has really shiny rainbowy wings and a fuzzy little head. So I thought that would be cool to draw. And I feel like fuzzy stuff or stuff with fur in particular, very difficult for me, okay? So I was like, oh, cool, it'll be a little challenge. But I didn't realize that what I think it really came down to is that I had a really hard time with this little fly because the reference was small. I made it small to fit onto my page, and I just think I needed more space because the wings are quite complicated. There's a lot of lines in there, and maybe I didn't need more space. Maybe what I should say is that I needed to not make it so detailed if it was going to be that tiny. I should have focused less on the very, very small details because it never is going to work out well like that. It's not going to come off right. So it's not that I hate it, but it's definitely my least favorite on the page. But I did use a lot of sort of neon looking colors. I used a really neon pink, luminous pink, and then I used a neon orange. My only color pencil that is not Holbein that I always use in these, besides the pencil that I sketch with, which is a Bic mechanical colored lead pencil, is the Prismacolor neon orange pencil. But Holbein makes a neon orange too that's really good as well. I just really like the Prismacolor one, so whatever works. So I like that, the colors, and it all worked out in the end. Like, it's fine. But yeah, I just wish I didn't do so many lines on the wings is my thing. But I do like how the fuzzy head turned out, is what I wanted to say. I think it turned out quite well, and I'm pretty impressed with that because I don't know what it is about me. Fur really confuses me. And I think we're just going to come back to the fact that my eyes know that there's so much detail in every little fur. I tried to use a jelly roll to fix it, but it didn't work. Spoiler alert. So I tried to like get in all that detail of the fur when really you don't need to do that. And I just am not very good at figuring out how to express fur. And anyways, with the jelly roll, I did not like it, but because it's on top of color pencil, it's really no big deal. I just took a white color pencil and sort of rubbed it off with it. And so that's where we're at. That's the little fly. And now I'm going to I just wanted to set up where everything was going to go. And I found this beetle, long beetle, roly beetle. I don't know what this thing is. It kind of creeped me out, to be honest, but I found it on Pinterest, and it's white. Technically, it's like a very light colored bug, and it's translucent. So I thought that was cool, and I thought it would be a fun challenge to do, but it ended up being actually really difficult just with the rest of the page and the fact that it's like a very light colored bug and everything else is dark. I just wanted to have something different in there, but I should have done something else. I think it came out kind of cool, but it doesn't look like the reference very much. Like the colors, I just kind of was like, okay, I think we're going to have to wing it. But the sketch, I think, looks pretty good compared to the reference, so that's good. So I did get something out of it. I usually, like, if I'm going off of a reference, I try to stick with it, but like I said at the start, some of them are closer than others, okay? The fly and this bug, not so close. So yeah, I basically just had to work with the fact, like, once I had drawn it and gotten this far, I was kind of like, oh yeah, I guess I kind of need like a dark background for this to come off as a white bug, because it's not going to really work with a white background, and it was just getting confusing. So I sort of was just thinking, let's just go the way of making this very rainbowy and fun. If I'm not going to get it to look the way that I'm first intended it to be, then at least I can, have fun with the colors, I guess. So then I just left it for a bit while I did my next sketch. And for the last bug, I really just wanted it to be like a nice, easygoing beetle, something that I could do. And this was another day after, and the last day was the fly and the long roly bug, and I just felt like those didn't go as smoothly. So I was like, okay, let me get back on track here. So I picked something I knew I was going to enjoy doing for the last one, is what I'm saying. So then I came back to the roly bug, and I just sort of darkened the edges and solidified sort of where I was going with that, just made the colors a little bit brighter, things like that. Just wanted to finish it up properly. Then I picked my new colors, and I knew this was going to be like a greenish blue kind of. I was like, I love how this one turned out. Actually, I really, really like it. And I was so jazzed to do it. I wish I could have done a bigger version of it, really. And I kind of want to try doing bugs like this, beetles, let's say, actually, be more specific. I would like to try to do some beetles in gouache. I think that would be really fun to do, and I think it would translate really well. So I'm thinking about trying that. This is actually another example of when I had to use a lot of dark colors. I used some dark blues, and I just, again, can't stress enough about the doing it with a really light touch, and but still getting that really nice color payoff from the fact that it's a dark jewel tone color. I love jewel tones, by the way. I can't get enough of them. Clothes wise, oh yeah, my stupid eraser, like it goes down to the tiniest piece, and I use these Factus erasers because they're cheaper than the ones from Tombow. And it goes down to that tiny little piece, and I can't use that piece because it doesn't work. It doesn't push it any further than that. So I save them in the hopes that one day I will find some mechanical pencil that will take that lead as an eraser for it. So, anyways, in the reference for this beetle, I was seeing a lot of like bright yellow, bright green. So I sort of put that as my starting point and I built it up from there. I used a bit of a mid-tone, sort of icy green kind of color right here to show me where I wanted to put the shadows and to test that out. That's what I kind of like to do because it's not really as big of a deal to erase a light color like that. And I wasn't super sure how to do it at first, so I was taking my time. I was kind of going slowly, and I knew this was going to be the last one, so it was nice. There was no pressure, you know? The pressure that I manufacture for myself. Knowing that there's like a camera there, I don't know, just sometimes makes me feel like I got to get it done or that I want to make it look really good. And if it doesn't start turning out, then I get like weird about it. So I'm really happy with this page and really happy with doing bugs, even though bugs kind of creep me out a little bit. I know that they're just living things on the planet. It's not their fault. It's just their little like legs and like the way that they move kind of scares me. It's the same way that I feel about snakes. I just really don't like looking at like snakes. And there's some types of bugs like I really don't look. Like that roly bug is about the edge of where I'm going to go looking at them because I don't want to see a long bug. It's something about it being long and creeping around really freaks me out. But I like beetles and moths and stuff like that, so that's okay. And I know, again, it's not their fault. This is like a Jaws situation all over again. Me. I just feel like I don't blame them. I don't think they're evil. And I don't think snakes are evil either. They're just living their lives. That's how they're supposed to be. But I'm scared of them. And they make me think I'm going to die. That doesn't mean they deserve to die. And that's the Jaws situation, you know, with the sharks. You know how they wanted sharks became evil, like a nemesis once Jaws came out. And then the writer of Jaws was like, yeah, I feel really bad about that because I don't really want everybody to start hating on sharks. They're really just doing their own thing. Yeah, but I probably don't have the same sway as someone who wrote a book so good that Steven Spielberg made a movie out of it. So it's probably not like a Jaws situation after all. I think we all know it's okay. Oh, speaking of snakes, do you know what is such a good, and movies, do you know what's such a good movie? Anaconda and Anacondas. If you haven't seen that, that is a perfect summer movie. It's so good. So I would recommend that. Coming back down to the root of the problem. I did watch Anaconda and Anacondas when I was probably too young too. And I don't know why, but that happened. And it is a really cool movie. Like I like the fact that the snake is big. I don't think it would bother me as much. I really don't like when they're little and they're sneaking around. And I don't like the idea of getting bit by one or stung by something. That really freaks me out. The idea of the getting stung and getting venom in you. Yeah. Oh, here's the finished result. Here's my bugs. Sorry for saying all that stuff at the end about sharks and like being scared of bugs and stuff. To be clear, I don't want an anaconda to attack me either. That's giant, but I'm just saying I liked the movie. Okay, see you next week. Bye.